So, what are my honest thoughts on Line Strike, y'all? Line Strike is the new trading card game, the card game. No, I don't know if you call it TCG, but it's a card game. It's a battle game. It's brand new. It's brand spanking new. It's interesting, and when I say it's interesting, I mean this thing is actually really fun, y'all. This thing is actually really fun. That's my honest thoughts on this thing, dude. So for those who have not tried this out, it was just released. It's very straightforward. You get kind of like a little training, little tutorial, and then you really just kind of figure things out yourself. You have a scratch for more cards that you can pull, and you can create your own decks. You have multiple decks. You can name your decks. All the above. But surprisingly, I went in, I tried it. Of course, I always go in open minded because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, why are they making a card game? Why are they making Creative Space?" So. You saw this with Creative Space, but I always go into things open minded. Even though like I'm not like a huge card game person, I played like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon at some point, way a long time ago for a very short stint. You know what I'm saying? But a very long time ago. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you. I don't really care for this stuff. Usually I'm a gameplay person. Like at the core of it, I am a gameplay person. I'm gameplay before fashion, all that stuff. Like I'm a gameplay person. But I always go into these things open minded. And same thing with Creative Space. Creative Space was something that we never knew that we needed. That was actually really great. Creative Space is absolutely phenomenal. And it's always amazing to see the creations that people make in Creative Space because it's limitless. And this new card game is similar in that regard, of that it's kind of something that we didn't know that we needed, but it turns out to be very fun. So the only issue I really have with the card game, as someone brought this up in my chat, was that there's not an incentive. So eventually it's going to get to a point where pretty much like this can be a weekly, and then you're gonna do that weekly, and then no one's gonna play it, right? So someone in my chat mentioned like, oh well, if there's an SG incentive, like if you get SG from the game, and it's like, yeah, that sounds good on paper, but at the same time, it doesn't sound good because you can't force people who don't want to play it to get SG, right? So if that's like one of the main ways to get SG, so it's kind of hard. I think that the team needs to look over that, and maybe if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments uh, in that regard, in creating an incentive to play it regularly, because I do think that it's actually very fun. I think it's actually surprisingly fun. It would be even better, someone mentioned on X, this is the only downside about the Line Strike is that I can't play it on an app on my phone or something like that, right? Which is honestly true. Like honestly, this would be really great to play like when you're on a break, or if you commute by train or by bus or something like that. I do playing Line Strike will actually be very very fun to do. It really would in those settings, right? So that's some things there that can maybe be looked into. Not realistically the app, but an incentive to continue to play it, which I think is going to be one of the bigger issues. For it to a week or two from now might be completely dead. So um, that's the only thing there. But overall, my thoughts on it are pretty good. I give it a pretty high score in terms of fun. Like I said, I go into these things open minded. I'm not usually a card game type of person, but I am a strategical type of person. I like to think. I like to be challenged. Mentally, I like to be challenged. So I do naturally like. I've always been a big fan of turn-based JRPG games, stuff like that, where you have to think, and I do like strategic games like that. So does make sense. It falls up my alley in the way that my brain is wired as well. And so Line Strike is pretty neat in that you can really customize your decks. You can have different types of decks. There's different kind of elements that usually perform different types of things. Like the purple is kind of like stun, and then like the ice is kind of like, so it's like there's all these elements to it, which makes it very fun to play. So definitely, if you have not checked it out, I would definitely recommend checking it out, whether or not it's necessarily something that you like or so. If you are the type who likes to, think the way that I think, like, you're kind of more of a logical, kind of more of someone who likes to get your gears grinding, you like a challenge or whatever, then I think that you will end up actually liking it. It's pretty quick, straightforward, and you can get in, you can get out. It's like no time at all. You do a match, you can do an unranked, you can versus an NPC, you can do a ranked one, you can do a free battle. There's all these different options. So you can really just kind of play at your own leisure. And I think that's one of the great things about it because it's fun to play and it's also not really time consuming. There's certain things that should be time consuming, but like, of course, this should not be one of them. Of course, other things in the game should be time consuming because that's the nature of how the game works. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So overall, I probably give it like first impression, dude. I probably give it like a 7.5 or 8, out of 10. Honestly speaking, like first impression, it's just in the back of my head. It's like, okay, well, where's this going to be at a week from now or 2 weeks from now? Like, cause honest, that is a real issue. Like, are people actually going to be playing it? Because there really is no incentive to play it. Once you get kind of all the cards, get your decks and stuff like that, there's not really an incentive. And I understand why they did that because you don't want to lock it to the game and force people to have to do line strike or force people to have to do creative space. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the incentive with that, but at the same time, there needs to be something to keep people on that because it is pretty fun. So, what do you think about the game? Let me know down in the comments below. Maybe if you have any ideas on what incentives could be presented with it, leave those down below. We can have a discussion, something of the sort. So be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one. As always, much love. Out. Spike content.